Tonight in news, a shocking and graphic story as a man was trampled underneath a street paving car on orders of a Chinese Communist Party official in China. A villager in northern China was resisting a forced government relocation and tried to remain on his land and was instead brutally crushed to death by a road-flattening truck on orders of a Chinese government official. The victim was Zhi Hua, and he refused to accept the paltry money they gave him under the pretense of eminent domain, telling him to move away from his land, and instead laid down in the path of the construction workers, refusing to leave his property, and his reward for standing up to that was death in this world. But he's surely made a mark for land rights and for individual rights across the world. This is just another horrific example of the face of tyranny, not just in China, but around the world. This is New World Order behavior, ready to relocate anyone in their path and ready to kill anyone who stands up to that. It's extremely reminiscent of the Tiananmen Square massacres that happened in 1989. Hundreds and hundreds, actually I read the number was 1,400 protesters killed by tanks and otherwise killed by government soldiers. Of course, there was that one iconic tank man who stood up to the tanks, blocked their path, and at least one of the tank drivers showed his humanity and was not able to just brutally run someone over. But this is just one more protest in the ongoing current occupation of China, of villagers saying no to attempts to steal their crops, to take over their land, and turn it over to commercial development. In most cases, they weren't even told that their land was being sold off by the Chinese party officials, and so they are rightfully outraged. There's been riots in all kinds of Chinese villages. We've covered some of those stories over the years. There's so many of them, though, but it's good to see someone standing up. Of course, they have tried to suppress this story, keeping it out of the state-controlled media, trying to keep it off of the web, but news is spreading here at Infowars.com. It was posted on DrudgeReport.com, and it's otherwise going across the alternate, so something to keep in mind there in China. This story also brings to mind the horrific example that happened with Rachel Corrie in Gaza. She was a protester trying to block literal bulldozers about to steam over Palestinian homes and what have you, and she was, well, it's debated, but she was run over by the bulldozer. Her parents sued the government, raised a lawsuit, and ultimately they didn't win that lawsuit, but they did point out the fact that she was basically murdered, as this Chinese villager clearly was as well. And it's really the kind of eminent domain disregard for human life we're going to see under Agenda 21. We turn now to